Hello, everyone. My name is Dara. This is Dear Hallmark. And as you can see, I'm not by myself today. We are going to be talking about some Hallmark Channel stuff. And I'm so happy to have Rachel Boston here to talk through it with me. Rachel, how are you doing?
Hi there. I'm so good. It's so great to see you again.
Yes. And you guys, for those of you who are new to the Home with Dear Hallmark, Rachel was on here earlier in the year to talk about her new movie, Engagement, The Engagement Plot, which came out on Up TV. But that was before the movie came out. And now the movie has come out. It's done so well. It was so well received. Well, how are you feeling about that?
Oh, it was such a fun movie. And that was a film I shot when I was 7 months pregnant. And then when I came on to do your podcast, our director asked me if I could come on to do this podcast. And I'd just gotten off a plane with my daughter. And I was like, of course I can, but I don't have anyone to watch my little one. So she came on it with me, which was so cute.
Yeah.
So I sort of had to go through that movie with this whole team while, my daughter was just like, it was such a special journey to go on. So it was really fun for people to see this movie. We had such a really good time making it.
Yeah, Gracie saw you through all the way to the end from filming to now doing. She made her podcast debut on Dear Hallmark talking about the film.
It was so fun. And she actually has a credit in that movie. They put her in parentheses after my name. So it says Rachel Boston and Grace because she was such a part of the filming. I mean, she became a character in our movie as well. So it was really just like the perfect, I think women working while they're, it was such a blessing to get a phone call from our producer and director saying, would you like to be on this movie? I'm like, I'm going to be 7 months pregnant. So I don't know how this is going to work. And they're like, we'll make it work. And we did. And it was just so special to share that with everybody on set.
I love that so much. So you talked a little bit about it on that episode, but for those who haven't listened or may be new to you, to Up TV, or even to Dear Hallmark, can you go into a little bit about what that movie was about and what made it so special for you?
Well, I watched The Bachelor for the first time to get ready for this movie, like all the way through. I
Whoa.
was episodes of The Bachelor, and Trevor Donovan, who played my love interest, he was the Bachelor in this movie. And both of us, we hadn't watched the show. So we were like having similar reactions of like, how do you find love like this? How does it work? And then we put that in this movie. So it's a reality show. And then a girl gets just put in the mix by her friend and ends up going on the show. And then they do find real love outside of filming. So it was a love story. Trevor was just a dream to work with. And every time we would do a scene, he'd be like, is she kicking? Does she feel like this is happy? Like my Grace, who was
Oh.
she was just so part of our whole production. It was really sweet.
Now, are you someone who watches their movies back? Like, have you seen the engagement plot all the way through, like the edited version?
Brandon Clark, our director, sent me an early cut of it, and then once the music was in, I got to watch it again. But often we live tweet, so I'll be
Mm.
watching it, and that's kind of funny because sometimes I haven't seen the final version while I'm live tweeting. And I want to pay attention, but I also am trying to keep up with work. So it's kind of like those hilarious behind the scenes moments that you get to just experience with everybody as we're watching it together.
Yeah. Now, I did jump in headfirst into the engagement plot, but I want to give a moment because you're here for Countdown to Christmas. I want to give you a Christmas related question. I feel like it's only right. So, Rachel, what is one Christmas song that every time you hear it, you just think Christmas? It just puts you immediately into the Christmas spirit.
Well, there's many, but I think once All I Want for Christmas Is You comes on in stores, I'm like, oh, Christmas is here. This is happening now. Um, and then there's songs like Silent Night that just hit on a
Mm.
whole new a whole emotional level that just reminds me of childhood and candlelight services at church. But then the second, and it's happening earlier and earlier. And we make these movies in summer. We make Christmas movies in summer. So
Yeah.
now when I'm in the store, I'm like, oh, I hear Christmas music. It's October. I'm into this. it's it's
Yes.
very exciting.
Now, you mentioned candlelight services in church. in the engagement plot episode that you were on, you mentioned how you started singing in the choirs when you were young, and that was kind of your first experience of being on stage, being in front of people. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that led you into acting?
Yes, it was the church choir, and then there was a children's a musical we would have different plays that we would do in this children's ministry, and it took a lot of time, and my mom didn't want to dedicate that time if I wasn't very serious about it, so I
Mm.
went and asked for a solo. I said, I think my mom thinks this is taking up a lot of time, but maybe if I have a solo, she'll let me stay, and it worked. So because I had a solo in this church choir, my mom I got really involved in the plays at my church, and that's how it all started.
So what do you think, and it could be just because, like, God just put that gift in you, but what do you think it was, if you could think back, like, that really attracted you to wanting to be on the stage or wanting to be in front of people or wanting to sing and act?
There's something about the joy of rehearsal and everyone working together. And I think,
Mm,
as a kid, just even like going home, and my mom would make everybody's mom made their or family member, someone was making our costumes.
yeah.
And just being so part of every portion of like you read something. I think even at the age of 7, it was like I read these words on a page, and then you have to learn the music, and you learn you learn the dialogue if it's a play, and then someone makes a costume, and then you get to wear it and you become this character. So I think just the whole teamwork aspect of it, and
Wow.
then it made people happy. Like I think that was like people come see a show and they would be so excited, and there was just some kind of something just came to life in me that was like, this is where, oh, this is fun, this is what I want to be part of. So that's where
Whoa.
the storytelling began.
I love that. I really do. Like, I never thought about, and I mean, we know that it is a collaborative effort because there's so many moving parts, whether it's the theater or the film, but having that be your reason, I love that you mentioned teamwork. I've never heard that before. That's so awesome. Is that something that you, as you continue to make the Hallmark movies, and I want to talk about Dating the Delaneys because I enjoyed it. Like, how do you find that teamwork aspect kind of fueling you and pushing you along as you do more and more of these Hallmark movies? As because I know the more you do, more familiar you become with like the production and the crew and even the your other castmates. Because like I say like Hallmark is like a small town in and of itself, whereas we always see the same usual suspects, which is what I love about Hallmark, which is why I keep watching it. But adding in that teamwork aspect, like, do you think that's what keeps you coming back to the Hallmark movies?
Oh, absolutely. I just got off the phone actually with the writer of Dating the Delaney's to
Oh!
brainstorm some ideas. So I think, and I'm just so inspired by her. Like she put these words on a page, and then
Mm.
they reached me at a time where I had just become a mother. And so I'm going to set for the first time as a new mom to play a mom. And so just to think that she was sitting there writing creating this story and coming up with this dialogue, and then I get to bring it to life on a set. And it's like, you're just surrounded by I was surrounded by a fantastic director on that. I got to work with Paul Campbell again, which was just a dream. He and I love working together, and it was so fun to be reunited with him on this one. But yes, it becomes, and it really, when you know somebody, like working with Paul again, there's a little bit of a shorthand where like I know his strengths, I understand his sense of humor, and we can definitely improv and trust that the other person's going to be there to hopefully pick up our joke if we throw one out. So that just makes it really fun, and you're telling different stories, but with people that you love and respect. And that's one of the most beautiful things I have found in the Hallmark circle.
Can I tell you, I can watch you and Paul for hours. Like, that was one of the things because I hadn't seen The Last Bridesmaid before, Dating the Delaney's, and someone was like, "Dara, you got like, before watch it." And so I happened to watch it, and I said, like, it was like heart eye emoji. Like, I loved watching you guys together. There was such an organic chemistry between the two of you. It was so natural, and then to see that again in Dating the Delaney's, like you said, like, it was something so familiar, and it was I felt like I was brought into the mix, and I felt like I was almost like a third best friend, like, watching you guys just act and do that on the set. So what was that like? Because that is a different storyline, that movie particularly focused on 3 generations of women and their dating lives. So how could you talk a little bit about working with Paul on that versus working with Paul on The Last Bridesmaid?
We talked a lot about this right when we first got the script because the Last Bridesmaid were two people finding love and everlasting love for really the first time in their life. They didn't really know what their futures were going to look like. They didn't
Mm,
know exactly which direction they were going to go in. And then dating the Delaney's, we're both parents. We're both very comfortable in our skin. We know what works for us. We know how we parent. We know what our day-to-day schedule looks like. And we know what we're looking for in a partnership, really. We're just not that open to finding it at that moment. So it's just two very different chapters of life. And
mm,
Paul and I loved just getting to explore people that are comfortable. Like, this is who I am. Are you into it? If not, that's fine. Gonna move
mm.
on. Like, let's give it a try. And like, it really made the romance part of it, I thought, so much fun because there was just this compatibility that was built in because of a friendship. And I think it was really relatable too, because it's two people having to open their hearts up again after going through something really painful. So we loved it and we loved playing parents. I mean, Paul's been a dad longer than I've been a mom, but like getting to talk to him about the early stages when I had Grace on set, it was
Right.
really nice to have that team, that partner.
Because you went from the engagement plot right to dating the Delaney's in terms of filming, right? Because that was your first dating the Delaney's was your first movie back after you had Grace, right?
Yes, it was my first movie back, and it was like just getting. I mean, I'm about to start my third movie since I had her, and now I have a routine. Now I know, but when you're going back for that first movie, I mean, your world changes so quickly. It's like I know I can do this, but I don't know how. Like I've seen other women do
Mm,
this. I think all women going back to work. I mean, it was just such a it was such an incredible time because I would be going home at the end of the day to my daughter
yeah.
and then getting to go do what I love and getting to share it with her was really amazing too.
Did that time the whirlwind, if you will, of being a new mom, like did that change your approach to how you come to scripts or characters at all? Or was it more so a technical adjustment, of course, in terms of, Grace will keep you up late because of that kind of stuff. But was there any type of change in how you would approach a character now that you've become a mom?
1,000%. I wouldn't have expected it so extreme, but now like
Mm,
understanding the love I have for her. And then there was one of the first scenes we filmed was I was having a conversation with my daughter about relationships and what I want for her.
mm,
And just thinking forward in Grace's life, like how much I love her and want the best for her and how she's going to grow up and we're going to have conversations about trusting your heart and all. Like it was really amazing to go like, cause my daughter and dating the Delaney's was older.
yeah.
So to kind of think about like the journey we're going to go on and just how much I want the best for her. I think that really played into that story. And then also how much you're focused on your children. So I completely understood just putting
Mhm.
anything else on the back burner. And until Paul Campbell's character walks in, like I'm not even thinking about it because I just want to be the best mom possible.
Right.
But I thought it was really hopeful and so relatable to so many people going through that journey. So I think it gave me a sense of I was just so happy to be telling stories like this.
Can I say my favorite scene was the one where he ordered you the food, like, through
Oh,
DoorDash? Can we talk about
and that's what you want. It's like you're not asking for anything. It's so simple. It's so subtle. This is a man who listens and he cares. And being a mom, it's like she doesn't have time for anything but that. Like you've got to listen and you got to care. Like he stepped up. I thought that was
Yes.
really wonderful.
I said, "Oh, that was the first proposal in the movie. That's when he should have just proposed right there when he ordered the food." I thought that was so charming and so adorable. So let's kind of Cupid shuffle into your latest movie that we have from you for Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas, which is Christmas Cookie Catastrophe. First of all, the name. It reeks of hijinks and I'm here for it. I'm so excited. And you're paired opposite Victor Webster, which I was like, let's go. I'm ready. And this is your first time working with Victor, right?
Yes, it was. And it's Even when I first read the script, I had the same reaction. I was like, please let this be a comedy. This has to be a comedy, right? And it was really funny. And then I kept thinking, like, is this as funny as I think this is really funny? Are we allowed to take it? Are we allowed to make it this quirky? And we took very small things and we made them very serious. And we just committed to a story about saving this cookie recipe. And we had a blast making this. So I think we're really gonna enjoy it. And Victor is lovely. He was just, and also there's when you're a new mom, I'm also pumping on set. Like that's
Mm.
just part of the situation of being a woman. And when you have a co-star who looks out for you, which I was not expecting, but he was like, are you comfortable? Do you need anything? I would be pumping in my little room and he'd be like, do you need any chips? Like through the window, like the little side door, like putting chips around the corner. I'm like, that's so thoughtful and so sweet. I'm good, but thank you. Like he was just always looking out for other people on set, which I very much appreciated. He was great.
Love that. Can you talk a little bit about what the movie is about? Because we had up until this point, we haven't seen a trailer yet. So we've only just seen the synopsis that Hallmark has given us. But can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from Christmas Cookie Catastrophe?
Yes. Well, and in classic Christmas fashion, play the CEO
Oh.
of a cookie company. And I moved from the city to a town where my grandmother had run this cookie company, and then she leaves it to me. So I inherit her company, and there's a lot of changes that have to happen for us to keep it afloat. So we go on this journey. Something happens at the very beginning, which makes us go on basically like a mystery scavenger hunt to like figure out how this happened. And we try to save Christmas, and it's so fun. And I was working with a director that we would just create little things here and there right before we'd film it. And I'm like, do you think they're going to leave this in? So I can't wait to see it as well, because we had so much fun making it. And I'm like, did that make it in? I wonder if that made it in. Like it was, but it just has like kind of a little more, it's a broader comedy, which is so
Mm.
fun for the holidays. And it's Thanksgiving weekend also. So I think people are really just getting into that spirit, and they're going to start baking and all the hijinks that ensue in this movie. I think they'll really enjoy.
Now, do you play a mom in this movie, or are you just a single woman about town?
I'm just a single woman running a cookie company, looking for love and
Looking
finally the right place. Yes, and I fall in love with a single dad. Maybe that's what happens.
maybe
You
at
never
the
know.
end. You never know with these things. You never know. So, can you talk a little bit about what in your character that you play in this movie resonates with you the most?
Well, one thing, I graduated from Columbia Business
Ooh.
School, and my brother was doing research. He's a scientist, so totally different at Columbia. So I got to send my family a picture of my Columbia graduation and saying, sorry you couldn't make it. Just graduated from Columbia. Wish you were there. It
Yep.
was because he was working there. It did make me feel like I was part of the family
Oh.
professor universe. But there's so much I related to with her. I think she's trying her best to make her grandmother proud. And I think
Mm,
there's something to a woman who's so capable and so good at her job. She's been working in New York City. She can run massive corporations, but then you give her this tender universe,
mm,
which is her grandmother's legacy, and she does not want to mess it up. And I think
mm.
we can all relate to trying maybe a little too hard to be perfect, or maybe a little too hard to be like, this is so like it, she just it brings a lot of comedy because of the nature of the story.
Sure.
And I thought that was really fun to explore, just like this super high functioning woman
Mm.
opening up to love, but also trying to fit in this town where she very much doesn't think she belongs, and then she finds her happily ever after.
Or does she? We'll have to watch the
Or
movie
does she? Or
then.
does she? I don't know.
But I know I can totally relate to that because I've had, and I'm currently on a new job where or I should say my old job, like I tried so hard to be perfect. And the more I tried to be perfect, the more I was failing because I was trying so hard. But once I took that pressure off of myself, it was like, I was soaring in the wind with that job. But now that I have this new job, it's like I have to learn that all over again. Like, Dara, don't try to be perfect. It's okay if you're not perfect. Like, just do what you can. It's okay to fall. Even like what we teach and what we teach babies. Like, it's okay. Well, get back up, keep walking, keep going, keep doing that. So that's really cool that that little nugget is in that movie.
And you learn a lot about that being, new mom now. It's so true. It's like when she slips or falls, that means she's moving in the right direction. Like that would only happen if she's pushing herself a little harder. So it's, in a safe environment, but you're like, I'm rooting her on. I'm like, you just pulled yourself up. You pulled yourself
Yes,
up on a chill. Like it's
yes.
a huge thing. And then falling in love with a man who does have a daughter and getting to kind of see that relationship and understand how he is with her. I think it sort of
Mm,
shifts her priorities also. And you see how easy it is in this world, in this modern universe we live in, where you have access at your fingertips to
mm,
whatever you want to research or look at, like how distracted we can get from the true meaning of what we really want in life. And
yeah,
so I think sometimes taking a little bit of a step back, you can see what the life you really want to create for yourself.
yeah. Can you tell us about a really, really, really fun day on set? Like, what was the most it could be, like, fun in terms of just, like, bowled over in laughter, or just it was just so outrageous, ridiculous that you're just like, "Oh my gosh, that was such a fun day to shoot."
Well, there's one moment because I just did ADR for the movie, which is the dialogue. Like we record a little dialogue if anything, if we have to do that after the fact.
Yeah.
There's this one scene where I give this speech because I'm brand new at this company. I'm taking over for my grandmother. I'm trying my best to fit in with everyone, and I give this long speech. And we had it was such a huge day on set. Like I had about 10 pages pretty much of monologues to do. And there's
Whoa.
at the end of that scene, I go, whew, and like I was doing that as me, like I made it through. I actually got it out, and it ended up in the movie. And the director was there. He was like, "I put that in," and it was one of those moments where I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious!" That was just me being like, "I got through it, guys," to the
Yes.
crew. There it is. Um, but we had a lot of fun days making this one. I mean, there's one scene where I break into my boss's office. And we just kind of turned that into a little bit of screwball humor. Like, I've never broken into someone's office. Like, what would I do if I was trying to be this undercover detective? Like, she thinks she's the FBI, and she's very clearly not. But like, if she was in the FBI, how would she handle the situation? So that was really fun, like in the Christmas spirit, to be like, if I were an FBI agent on Christmas, how
Right.
would I do this? That's where her thought process is going.
I
So that
love
was
it.
fun.
Now, contrast that to what would you say was the most difficult day to shoot on set?
We had so my dad is an engineer, and he works in he's actually, Dad, I can hear you. My dad just walked in as I'm saying. Next one. Dad, can you hear me about to talk about you on a podcast? My dad he was an engineer for a long time, and now he consults with many different companies. And one night he was helping me with my daughter, and he was watching her this night, and we had to shoot later because we were trying to finish this board scene.
Mm.
And it was a boardroom scene where I'm thinking I'm going to lose my job. And it was really intense. And when I got home that night, my dad said, "Gosh, you guys shot late tonight." And I was like, "Dad, I had a board meeting." And it felt great as a daughter to get to say that to my dad. Like, we were shooting a board meeting. So that scene, though, I thought, like, if that all was lost moment, when you've tried so hard and you realize that, like, it's that vulnerability. I think that moment to me was just, when I read the script, it was so powerful because
Mm.
she's, at the end of the day, she is trying so hard to be the best version of herself. She just keeps getting tripped up by patterns of the past, or
Mm.
different values that she's placed on things. And I think that was really a scene that was really emotional because she realized, like, I didn't do this right. And I have to
Yeah.
take full responsibility and I want to make it. And then, it might work out, but
Just
it
might
might.
work.
It just might. But I do think that was just so powerful because I think it's like that crossroads that so many of us we go through in life where you think
Yeah.
like, I don't know how I don't know how it got to this place.
Mm,
And I don't really want to be here. I don't want to like I feel like I want to evolve to this new version of
mm.
um who I'm trying to be in this, for her in a professional and a personal in her personal life. So I thought that moment was really beautiful to film.
Now, you're someone who's done both Christmas and non-holiday movies. Can you talk about the difference in shooting them? Because I've heard from other actors how it's something about the Hallmark, the Hallmark Christmas secret sauce that Hallmark does Christmas right. Now, I know you guys filmed them in the summer, but still, even seeing like some of these, like the decorations are like on a billion, and then you got the coats, which I know y'all are sweating y'all behinds on the coats. But, like, even still that can you talk about that experience of, filming a Hallmark Christmas movie and what that's like?
One of the most of this movie, we were filming in this really small town outside of where the exterior of what we were filming was a bit outside of where we had been working.
Mhm.
And we went and stayed down in this town and we all went on a walk with my family the night before we were shooting. And then we came up to this street and it was covered in snow and it had trees everywhere. And it took me a second to be like, oh, that's our set. Because of course it's our set. There's no
Wow.
Christmas. So I realized like we had just gone on a walk and like they've already decorated for the next morning. And that's kind of what it feels like every day because you show up and it's just like this perfect Christmas town, but you're in the middle of a different season. So there really is a magic to that. And just the team that puts all of it together to create that. Like there's just a team that specializes in putting up the Christmas lights. And then you have to make sure like in every frame you'll see, like you want to feel like you're just at home with everybody. So I think that's really fun. I mean, when we walked in, there's a living room scene at Victor's house at the end. And when I walked into his house, it's like you just feel this peace wash over you. Like you did this for
Mm.
your daughter in the movie. And there's just something so special about seeing the love people put in around the holidays. And so to be sitting in that on set all day, like that's our office for the day. It
Wow.
really does bring that spirit, I think, to everybody involved. But yes, coming upon the town where we were filming the next morning was really special because you're like,
Okay.
oh, of course, this is our set. This can't be anyone else's set. Like
Right, right. No one else has Christmas stuff up during this time of year,
this
so
is where we're filming tomorrow. But it is just it's so fun and the spirit of like it becomes a tradition. And like sometimes when I'm walking through the airport, real like especially during the holiday season, people like you come into their living rooms during their Christmas celebration. So there's like a family feel to these. And I think that's what Hallmark really has found that whatever the magic is, I think it's like you bring people together. And that's the goal of these movies.
So, because I've been picking certain people's brains about the topic of chemistry. Is it a thing? Is it real, or is it just this mythical thing, that can't be quantified when it comes to establishing relationships with your co-stars? So I wanted to ask you, because the nature of these films are shot in such a short span of time, what is it like for you? And you can even talk specifically on a Christmas Cookie Catastrophe, what it was like for you to establish chemistry with Victor, in such a short amount of time.
Oh, it is so interesting, isn't it? Like you telling love stories with dating the Delaney's one story, Paul Campbell and I had the end of the movie scene our first day.
Whoa.
So we're like, here we are, happily ever after.
Yeah.
Was day one, and having already worked with him, it definitely made that we both were laughing because we're like, oh, this would have been a lot harder had we not already we made a movie together. So this was like a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Um, but it is pretty incredible to meet someone, and then oftentimes it's like what you're going through in your own life and like why these movies come to you. I'm always interested in that because
Mm,
oftentimes a script will come, like even dating the Delaney's, I was a new mom and I'm going back to work for Hallmark for the first time on Hallmark, playing a mother, and just the perfect, like there was so much that like everybody just felt like they were meant to be there on that project, from the director with working with Paul again, and in like that, what journey you get to, I mean, you just get to explore these beautiful worlds in a really, and so with Victor, we met, I think we met on day one. We didn't meet even during prep because I was coming in a little later.
Mhm.
And we just hit it off. I'd had a few people tell me how great he was to work with, and it was
Wow.
he's very much a gentleman, and he brings his dog to set, and it and I think like it became just, you know, if it's anybody else, it would have been a different story. So it really is amazing how people get paired. And I think Hallmark does a really good job of that. It's like they see, you know, you see people that yeah, and I think a lot of the fans sometimes chiming in being like, I want to see these together. Like it's really neat that
Yeah.
that's like the old studio system where you get paired with and you know everybody in the community, which is really fun.
Now, on top of having Dating the Delaneys and the engagement plot, you also had the opportunity to attend a couple of events. One of them was Christmas Con in Pasadena, and then you also got to do the Radio City Spectacular. That was the
Oh,
launch of Countdown to Christmas. You can start with that one first, and then we'll go back to Christmas Con because I mean, just I was living vicariously through all of you guys through Instagram, looking at your stories, your pictures. Just go. Just start wherever you want to. Just go.
it was out of a dream. I mean, it was get landing in New York. It was such a whirlwind, and to have everyone that you work with and you love and you respect and you
Mm,
built these long-term relationships with, staying in a hotel and then riding up to Radio City Music Hall and just getting to celebrate with all of your friends. I mean, it was phenomenal. And Jonathan Bennett and we actually met in New York City when I was 17 years old. I had just moved to New York, and we met at a commercial audition. And we were both just starting out. I mean, I was fresh off the boat. He had just moved there a few months before. And the fact, like, it was not lost on us. We were standing next to each other as we pulled up, and we're like, can you believe, like, this was the city where we met, and now we're here
wow.
telling these stories to bring Christmas spirit. And then, of course, you pull up and like Hallmark starts the snow. So there's just snow all over Radio City Music Hall. And you're like, it's snowing. Jonathan, it's snowing like on top of everything. So it really was just such a celebration. And I'm just so proud of all the executives and everyone that worked, the whole publicity team, the events team, are just all the fearless leaders that just made this night happen. It was really extraordinary to be together and to get to celebrate. It was amazing.
I bet. Now, let's pivot to Christmas Con. This is like a Christmas celebration where you're now engaging and meeting the viewers, the fans, the audience. So can and you're going to be at the one that's coming up in December in New Jersey, which I'm going to be at too. So I'm excited to see
Oh,
you.
yay!
Yes. So can you talk a little bit about your experience there and what it was like meeting your fans, the audience, and the viewers?
Well, I went to the very first one, and we had no idea really what to expect.
Mm.
And it's truly just like it's a convention filled with joy. That's what I would call it. And you're with so many of your friends. You get to see so many people that, you know, we're all working together on set, and it's just such a different environment. And then you get to meet the community that supports and loves, and some that you actually have had conversations with over the years that have, you know, supported our work and supported these movies getting made. And
Yeah.
it's just really, it does feel like the whole family coming together. I mean, that's the best way I know how to describe it. It's just very joyful. There's a lot of dancing.
Ah,
You take a lot of pictures with co-stars that you've worked with, and I think just everybody being under the same roof, like
mm,
it's not lost on us sometimes when we're sitting at like when we're at lunch, just all
mhm.
sitting together. This is, you know, to have everybody just brought together for these events. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So it makes you see it evolve over time, because, you know, I started doing these films years ago, and then now like we're Radio City Music Hall. So you got to see the evolution
Yeah.
of And I love where it's heading. I mean, the stories we're able to tell now, there's so much truth. There's so much like we're just taking these, we're able to I'm just very excited for Hallmark and everything they're doing. So
Now, with that, what would you say to the person who is maybe viewing a Hallmark movie, your movie, for the first time? I mean, they've heard of them, but they're like, cheesy, corn, whatever. But they're going through a moment where they just wanna watch a Hallmark movie over Thanksgiving weekend. What would you say is something that that viewer could get from Christmas Cookie Catastrophe when they watch your movie?
well, it might work out at the end. Everything might work out. But I think what people love about these movies and why people come back and enjoy, why I love watching them, is that it's going to be at the end of the day, things are gonna the people are gonna find their way.
Yeah.
And you're rooting for them and you're hoping for them. And I think that's like the time of year when there's so much hope. I mean, we put up Christmas trees to bring joy into our homes when it gets dark now much earlier. And like
Yeah.
the light and the joy, and like you're seeing these family values and reconnecting with people. And I think that's what, and they've just become like a whole, it's fun to see them evolve,
Yeah.
and get to explore deeper storylines as well. And but it's also, I mean, there's still just that, I think people just enjoy, my mom has them on starting now. I mean, she just has them on in the background every time she's cooking. She
Yeah.
loves to just, so to be part of that tradition, I think that's it's really fun to be in that Christmas family.
Yeah. Do you think that you would do anything else in the film industry outside of acting, or even just if it's not in film, like, do you see yourself going into another lane, whether it's parallel to acting and you're doing both at the same time, or maybe kind of changing lanes a little bit and going into something else?
Well, I've developed a few projects that I have been able to bring to Hallmark, which I've loved. I'm continuing to write. So there's a directing program now. So many of my friends are starting to transition into directing, and that's incredibly inspiring to see.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's like that teamwork, like we said at the very beginning of this, like when I got involved even as a kid in theater, realizing that it takes so many people to make a project. And I think that's like just seeing so many women in new roles now. I mean, there's so many producers that I've worked with. I'm about to go to work with another producer who I've wanted to work with for a very long time,
Oh,
and just
awesome.
her journey in the film industry, and all everything she had to do to get where she is. I mean, I think it's incredibly empowering time for women. So yes, there's many new avenues that I'm very excited to explore. But I'm just very thankful that these stories with like strong female leads also, like
Yeah.
that's we found a home for them.
Yes. Well, Rachel Boston, thank you so much for coming into the home of Dear Hallmark. It has been a pleasure. But before I let you go, I always give my guests the last word. So whatever you want to say, if you want to sing a Christmas song, if you want to read a poem, like whatever you want to say, this is your moment to have with the viewers and the listeners.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm hearing my little one in the background. She's about done. I think she's ready for her mom, but I could bring her out. Do you want to see my little person?
Yes,
Um,
please.
okay, hold on one second, because I'm hearing her squeal, which means something exciting is happening. But I'm so excited. This will be my first Christmas with my little one. Hold on one second. Look, this was the first podcast. Now you're
Hi.
back. Can you say
Hi.
hi?
Hello. Oh, look at that
Well,
hand.
if she likes to wave, do you like to wave?
Hi.
Oh, is it too bright? Do we have lights right here? Here, you got it. This is going to be her very first Christmas. So, and this was her first Christmas movie. It was really amazing to have her on set. So, I guess I am basically just wishing everyone tidings of love and joy this holiday season. And I hope you'll tune in and join us on Thanksgiving weekend, Sunday night at 6 o'clock.
Yes. Oh, well, Rachel and Grace, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for
your
joining us.
time And you guys, all of the information for the movie will be in the description box or the show notes, whether you're watching or listening. My name is Dara. That's Grace. And that's Rachel Boston. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.